Hi, my name is Misha Calvert, and this is Film on Tape, an audio library of everything that I have learned as a filmmaker. I really hope that this is helpful to you in some way. And if it is, feel free to check out my website, mishacalvert.com. You can see my writing and directing there, and you can also sign up for very occasional emails that I send. All right, on to the show. I'm bringing back One from the Vaults with actress Margaret Judson. This is from my old podcast, Unlikely Protagonist, with my co-host Brett Epstein, and we were talking to Margaret about her career as an actor. Now, Margaret has done some extraordinary work on several very high-profile TV shows. Modern Family, she was on The Newsroom. Aaron Sorkin wrote a role based on her life in The Newsroom, and she was later on The DEUCE. And she was also in my series STRUT, which is perhaps the best TV show of all time. She was in the ensemble, and it was just such a true pleasure to work with her and to get to know her and to get to call her a friend. Now, you may think that the way that you get the kinds of work that Margaret has gotten is through your power agent or, hoofing it as an actor for 10 years and then finally you get noticed. That's not what Margaret did. I mean, I think she might be with CAA now as a producer, but initially she was not. And she used her powers of networking and her just utter grit and resourcefulness to get what she wanted and to get noticed for these roles and these TV shows. So I have so much respect for her. She's also incredibly beautiful and just so smart and so funny and so warm. And I really loved this conversation that Brett and I had with her. I hope you get as much out of it as I did. Enjoy.
Thank you for being our guest today on our podcast.
So, Margaret, you're phoning from LA. You are an actor. You've been in some big shows. You're also a producer. Are there any other hyphenates that I'm missing?
I think those are the main ones. I do television producing. I guess journalist would be the hyphenate that I'd add, but you got it. Yeah, nailed it. A+.
Yay. So what is possibly one of your biggest claims to fame as an actor? Very few other actors can brag this. You had a part written on a major TV show that was inspired by you. Is that correct?
I just like to be a little bit careful, respectful of the writer's process.
Is it fair to say that there's a character on The Newsroom that has many similarities to your own career trajectory?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And then you were also, after that, cast on the show, right?
Yeah. Can I tell you that crazy story?
Please do.
So yeah, I was working in news, in a real newsroom. And the creator of the show, The Newsroom, which ended up being on HBO, came to shadow our team. He knew the host that I was working for because he had done a show, Sports Night, before that. The person I was working for is Keith Olbermann. He was a sportscaster first, and then he was a news anchor. So he and Aaron had this relationship, and so he came and shadowed our show, and I was kind of in charge of him and showing him around, and that was kind of that. And the next thing I know, I ran into him in 30 Rock, because that's where NBC is, and a lot of their other shows, and he was promoting Social Network, and we ran into each other in the elevator bank. I fucking love that, but can I say that? I love that building because...
You can curse a lot.
Okay. That's lucky for me, because otherwise we'd be cutting this thing up like crazy. I love that building because just it's so magical. It never was lost on me walking into 30 Rock. But anyway, so I ran into him. He was promoting Social Network. He was doing, I think Fallon or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if you remember me. He's like, yeah, absolutely. I'll send you a script of the show. And then it turned into being a consultant. And then when I read the script, as you said, there was a character in it that felt very familiar. And I asked to audition, which was really, looking in retrospect, that was pretty crazy because, why would I ask that? I had not had any experience. But it was so familiar. I'd helped consult on it for so long. I don't know. I got the nerve to do it. And he told me no.
Oh God.
He was like, this is for, the people auditioning for this. I mean, I asked for an audition, and he said the people auditioning for this, and it was completely fair, are people who went to Juilliard and, very impressive acting schools, and like you can't just like walk in. But it was the life that I had lived. So, well, I'm jumping ahead. So, I mean, I accepted that and was, thank you. It was just a shot in the dark, whatever. And then there was a lot of time that passed where it was just sort of, I wasn't consulting anymore, and that was it. And the next thing I know, I got a call from a casting director who did Newsroom, was Francine Maisler. And I got a call from her that asked me to audition. And it was just so weird because it was like, I had never met this person. I had never, like, now I was actually like in the casting process all of a sudden, something that I never knew about or had any exposure to or anything like that. So I went to that audition, and because I had lived that experience, which I think is such a big part of process, but because I had lived that experience in this sort of meta way, the audition went really well. And I auditioned for the character Margaret, but I didn't get it. I got a different role, Tess Weston. So I didn't actually book the character that I auditioned for or felt so familiar to me. But I did get cast on the show, which I was really grateful for. It was an amazing experience.
Tess Weston is a pretty great name.
Yeah, I agree.
How was that character different from the character of Margaret?
Tess was actually, she had sort of a bigger job in the newsroom, but Margaret was very close to the anchor of the show. And I think Tess is a lot tougher than Margaret on the show, Margaret Jordan. She's like a lot tougher and sexier.
So it's a little bit of like your alter ego, maybe.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
How many episodes?
Oh my gosh. We did 3 seasons.
Incredible.
Because I think they do like 12 episodes, something like that.
Were you in most of the episodes every season?
I was in every episode. Yeah.
You were in every episode. So that's 36 episodes of television.
That's outstanding. Very cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was such a fun time. Yeah.
And that's where you got to know our mutual friend, Chris Chalk, correct?
Oh my gosh. When I met Chris Chalk, he put his hand out to shake my hand. We were like all introducing each other, ourselves, whatever. And for some reason, instead of shaking his hand, I poked his palm. And we just like both, I don't know, so weird. I'm such a weirdo. We just like kind of looked at each other and we're like, oh, we're like soul siblings. We're both like weirdos in the same way. And he's one of my best friends. Yeah, I just adore Chris. And that's how our relationship started.
That's awesome. Chris, we got to have him on the podcast because he is literally one of my oldest friends from Brett, from that internship that I did at a casting office.
Oh, yes. Oh,
he used to come in and he used to come in and say hi a lot. And God, that was decades ago. And he's just a wonderful guy, Margaret, as you know.
Wait, I kind of want to hear this story. What?
Oh, I interned at a casting office and they had a weekly meeting and they wouldn't let me order a tuna fish sandwich at the meeting because it was like too much food.
Oh my God. I got
for an intern.
For breakfast and too much for breakfast.
Well, I was like, you literally are paying me $0. I can't afford groceries. I'm like swigging milk out of the fridge just for calories here. You can't buy me a fucking tuna sandwich. Anyway, that's the story.
And so Chris would come in
Yes.
As an actor?
Well, he was dating the office manager at the time.
He was oh, okay. So, okay. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because something I still don't understand to this day, to be honest, is like the hustle. And I was like, would he fucking walk in to a casting office and just like be like,
essentially he did. I mean, I think he also wanted to say hi to his
star shit
girlfriend, but yeah, I mean, he would make himself known and they loved it. They just ate it up.
Of course, he's the best. I mean, I respect that.
So, Margaret, I want to like understand a little bit of the trajectory here. So, was the newsroom your quote big break or your first acting experience? Were you an actor before that?
No, not at all. So it was both.
Wow.
Yeah.
But something within you had a desire to be an actor because here you are.
I mean, I read that script and it was like, I know this person. I have to take this to the next logical step. It was just one of those things where it was just like too magnetic that like I couldn't ignore it. And I just like had to follow that gut feeling.
Wow.
Which was denied, like I said, but
But then interestingly, you got cast as someone who was less close to yourself. So you did even something more outstanding in the audition, which was not play the character that's yourself. And you booked it. And this is now your first acting gig. And you were not interested in acting before this until you read the script. Wow.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't on my radar at all. I went to school for journalism, so that's what I knew. And, just this opportunity, walked into the office and it was too much to ignore.
And before this, no school plays as an actor, nothing.
No, and it's funny you say that because when I got out here and got an agent, they said the same thing. And it was like, give us something. Like we're like, come on, like you must have been in a school play or something. And I mean, maybe I should have lied about it. Again, I'm like so naive to the hustle still probably, but I was just super honest. I was like, nope, this is it. This is what I got.
I think your honesty is what helped get you the part. And for Aaron Sorkin to circle back around, and your hustle, your clear intelligence, like, razor sharp intelligence and wit and observation. And for all the listeners, this is not the main factor, but you can't see she's stunningly beautiful. That probably doesn't hurt as you've built a career as an actor. You're like a quintuple threat, if that's even a thing.
Misha's like such a cheerleader. I'm just like flashing back to Strut, which we did together, which I guess I'm sure we'll talk about, maybe haven't established, but I just have to say like how killer Misha is.
Love Misha.
Thank you.
Love Misha.
So Margaret, what happens after you do the newsroom, right? How did the rest of the pieces come together? How did you learn more and more about the business? What did you do next to keep being an actor?
So I auditioned in New York. And then it must have been a month or two later when I officially got word that I booked it. I'm kind of going all over the place, but when you're working sort of in another industry and like doing something else and devoted to something else, that waiting game does not feel the same as when you're just an actor, which I've done both now. And it's so much better for me personally to just be busy with something else. So that like a month or two where I just didn't hear anything essentially was fine. And then next thing I know, I get a call. We want you to do the pilot. And again, very naively, I left my job in New York in news to move to LA to shoot this pilot. Now I realize that a lot of pilots don't get picked up, but it was like a happy naivete that I just sort of dropped everything and just went for it. Like I just jumped off the cliff, and my life completely changed. I mean, I had a brand new job that I hadn't ever expected to have, that I didn't necessarily have a ton of experience around. I'd never like really been on a set like that before even. I was in a completely different city. Everything changed. But it was very exciting. And I just like went for it, as much as I could. Like I said, I still can't get over like how like the Chris going into the casting off and just like hanging out, and it's just like one of those things that you just like can't really teach somebody or tell somebody, but like that's what makes the difference. But I took classes and got an agent. Actually, I had a publicist first because, to your point, I didn't have any experience. I just had a story. I just had like, oh my gosh, can you believe that I was doing this one thing? And then, everything I just said. And that's what I like could bank on. And so a publicist actually reached out to me when they saw me on the show. And that was just sort of the next logical step too. It's that like, okay, I can do something with this story and then, get some traction that way. And that was the way that I got the agent and manager. And then I was auditioning and going to classes and shooting. And that was kind of my life at that point.
I am so excited to tell you that I'm launching a brand new slate of classes that are incredibly helpful on my website. So some of the classes include on-camera acting technique, how to self-produce your own film, actor self-care, which is something that nobody talks about, and how to write a feature film in 10 days, which no one else has ever offered that class ever. I'm not sure very many people have ever even done that, but I'm going to teach you how I did it and how you can do it too. Go to clubvermillion.com and sign up for the pre-launch of these classes. No one else has access yet. And believe me when I say I poured my heart into these courses. I spent so many years talking to actors who so badly wanted to advance in the arts, but they didn't know how, they didn't have access, none of the teachers they had were good, or they couldn't afford it. The price was just out of reach. So these classes are specifically made to be packed full of information and very affordable. Stop by the brand new website. I am so excited about this website. I think it's really great, and pick out the classes there that really light you up. I can't wait to work with you.
I'm willing to bet also that you didn't come from some grand, this is a bit of a personal question, but some grand childhood or beginning that, because I find like that Chris factor of just putting it all out there and taking really bold risks and choices, that usually comes from somebody who hasn't been handed a ton of opportunities in life.
Oh, that's an interesting theory that I can completely subscribe to. Yeah, no, I came from Arlington Heights, Illinois. I mean, my parents had nothing to do with the business in any way. None of my family did. So, it was a big deal for me to move to New York in the first place, and then to just like change, shift gears so dramatically and move to LA. Yeah, there's sort of like a beautiful naivete that probably could have gone a lot of different ways if there had been somebody being like who had cautious words for me, like spook me or something. Rightfully so, but I just had nothing. I was like, okay, here we go. That's what we're doing, I guess.
Do you still do journalism work?
Yeah, I'm a news producer now. Like that's my real day-to-day.
While still auditioning when they come up. And
I haven't auditioned for a while, but we're running this Emmy campaign right now. So that's like my acting life. It's how it's manifesting right now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And is this purposeful? Like you're like, I want to focus on the journalism right now for a little bit,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I missed it and I really love it. And the day-to-day can be really overwhelming just with everything that's going on. But that almost makes it worth it at the same time. It's sort of like that paradox of.
Have you found yourself, I do want to talk about STRUT, obviously, but Have you found yourself getting more cynical about the state of affairs in the world, in the US, or more optimistic or more driven to make change? Like, how have your views and has your approach to life changed over the past crazy couple of years?
Ooh, so I was producing in New York, and then I moved to LA, and then I was working on some other stuff, and now I'm back to the producing that I was doing in New York, but just from here, because now we can be remote in this world, which is a nice change in some ways. But gosh, that's such a loaded question for me, because I am so grateful. My point in saying that I was there before and I'm back, it's like, to be back in this world, I'm so grateful to be a part of it. I really love what I'm doing, but I also feel like very, not to be a downer, but I just feel like very sad about a lot of, a lot of the stuff that we cover is really heartbreaking. So I don't know if I feel cynical. I just feel like kind of heartbroken. I feel like I'm a true American girl. I really love America.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like such a weird thing to say.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. I love this place. It is like, I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And so it breaks my heart.
I'm with you. I think it's the greatest country in the world. And I'm so glad that we have powerful women like you trying to make journalism like the right way and a truthful, factual way. Facts exist and they're very important.
I'm just flashing back to alternative facts that ever came out of anybody's mouth.
God almighty.
But that's very sweet of you to say. I love being part of the process, and it feels like an honor.
I like that you said that. It's not that I like that you said it, but the heartbreaking aspect of it, the sad aspect of it, it's just true. Like it's such a juxtaposition to go about my day, get this matcha latte, do this podcast recording when 2 weeks ago little children were shot in the head. I'm sorry, like I went out 2 nights ago, get a glass of wine. How are you, Brett? It just comes out of my mouth. I say, I'm fucking depressed about the dead children. Like, and I say dead children. I just say it now because I'm like, I can't. I gotta talk about it somewhere.
I think we have to. I mean, I fully support. Not that you're asking me for my support, but I just want to say I think that that's like how we have to talk about it, because like sugarcoating it, it's not it.
Now this is we can cut this if you want, but it's just this is a provocative question. Do you think if people saw a photo image in the news of what happened in the school and the children, it would change the minds for once? Do we need to see it? I mean, what will it take?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I don't know the answer, but what I'm thinking is who was asked it? Oh, it was when Biden was on Kimmel the other day. Kimmel was making the argument that every I guess it's in the House now, so every representative who is opposing gun reform on the floor this was a couple of days ago, they passed a bunch of stuff, but anyway, everybody who was opposing gun reform and holding it up in the House should be required to go speak to the families who lost their babies. I mean, those are little kids. So to your point, I mean, maybe I don't know the answer to that. I think that's really hard. I mean, yeah, it's so heartbreaking, but I thought it was interesting when it came up. That's what it makes me think of when you asked me that question.
Yeah, right. Just like, you're right. It's like, even the question I'm asking is so grotesque. However, the state of affairs is so grotesque.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else. It's traumatizing every day.
Oh yeah.
For every person to live here. And I don't know what to make of that sometimes, or who to talk about it with, or it just pops into my mind. I mean, it's like even joyful things become like, I FaceTime, my nephew's 8 months. I FaceTime with him every morning. And of course now in my head, I'm like, oh, when he goes to school, I'm scared for when he goes to school. Like now that's in my head. I'm trying to just have a nice FaceTime with my cute little nephew, but not in America. Anyway.
That's why I'm not having kids.
Yeah. Oh, have you decided that you're not having kids for?
Yes,
for
affirmatively.
real? Okay.
Oh
okay.
yeah. I've known that for a long time. Yeah.
Interesting.
There are a lot of reasons I feel that way. And, there are a lot of people in the world. I'm so heartbroken over having to tell the story of what happens during these shootings. I can't imagine if I had to send my own flesh and blood to school. Like, I mean, that's jumping ahead many years, but, everything in between, that would be hard to have kids.
What do the next few years look like for you in an ideal world? And then we're going to talk about STRUT. But in a best case scenario, how would your artistic life unfold?
I don't want to leave what I'm doing right now, but I would like to, and I've had a couple opportunities like this come up. And so I just hope that this grows. I would like to be more involved in not just news, television production, but even unscripted or scripted TV and film producing.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think that's where I want to go.
The leapfrogging is so easy for me to see how those dots connect from news producer to TV producer.
Me too, but it's like I see it very clearly, but it's hard to break in.
Can you start with indie? Would you ever do that?
Yeah, totally.
I know people who constantly need female producers.
Oh, hook me up.
Okay, I will. And do you still want to be acting in stuff? How does acting factor in?
I really love acting and I really love actors. And I think it's like, in a lot of ways, almost underrated, or sometimes, I don't know if corrupt is the right word, but I think it can be oversaturated. And then it can, sort of get a bad name. But I think like the art form and the artistic endeavor of it is just so beautiful to me that it's the most empathy focused art form. And I just like admire and love that so much. I don't know if I feel like I have to act in everything I come across. I feel like in my bones and just my background and everything, like I'm probably the most a producer. But to the extent acting things come up, I like to be very busy. And one of my favorite times was, I'm trying to think of how this was in relation to STRUT. But anyway, I was working in news. I produce a morning show, so we do the bulk of our producing at night. So I was shooting the DEUCE, and during the day, I was producing at night, and then I was writing this piece for the Times on intimacy coordinators, which was inspired by the DEUCE. It was just like everything sort of like overlapping, and that's when I'm the happiest.
You're multi-hyphenate, my dear. That is the definition of what so is Brett and so am I. So I think we've got a very strong team right now.
Yeah, I think you have to be, right? Like now it's just, I think back on when I was shooting the newsroom and I was only acting during that time, which, we talked about, I had a very steep learning curve. So it was like, that's probably all I had. To be fair to my younger self, that's probably all that like I could do at the time. But I wish, knowing what I know now, if I could advise that person, I would tell her to be more of a multi-hyphenate, like we're talking about, like just be involved in any way in other productions as much as possible. Like I would tell her to be a fucking gaffer. Just get in there.
I've never been a gaffer, but I do appreciate the theme of what you're saying, which is get involved. And I also think, it's in terms of thinking about multi-hyphenates, I think that sometimes I wonder, do you need to be, or do certain people just have organic talent and ability to do several things?
That's interesting. You're probably right. That would be what I would tell my younger self, because I know that I have to be busy or else we're in trouble. Like, it's just like, it's not cute. I think that you're right, that that's not the case for everybody. And some people are really good at just like, I'm thinking of a friend of mine who can just like ride out the downtimes, and then he's a very successful actor. He can just ride out the downtimes, and like, this is what he does. He does this like he is an actor, and that is like it. And he does it very well and is, like I said, incredibly successful. And that's how his brain works, but it's not how mine does. And I don't know if you feel the same way.
I am fully depressed if I'm not working on a project.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm like, do I need to go on SSRIs? Oh, wait, no, I'm just not working on anything.
Yeah. I know. I just have to be more busy. Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, we've just established that you're a multi-hyphenate. We've all got it now. However, I will say that when I saw your tape for Strut, I was gobsmacked by your tape. And even more so now that I know that you didn't even do a fucking high school play. By the way, fuck you for being so goddamn talented. But you just had this natural star power and such openness and vulnerability in your eyes, but yet a strength that, so for me, it was an immediate yes to the casting for you as Ava. But I guess that's my point. That is my point.
See, everybody needs a Misha in their life. What you're saying is very hard for me to take in, but it is so kind and appreciated.
Well, you did a damn good job. And I mean, you are up against some stiff competition. We've got Christina Toth and Manani Gupta, who are all campaigning. And by the way, there's only, I think I told you this, there's not very many contenders for Best Actress in short form.
So is that just like who it is? Like, where because I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about this right now, but like the woman, she's been nominated a few times for Reno 911. I don't know if she had she posted a tape before? Like, are people gonna like at the last minute sort of come out of the woodwork that we just don't know are up for it?
Probably,
you know what I mean?
Probably anyone with the way the Emmys work, by the way, and I had to learn this year, but if you're an actor in an eligible show, which you need to be on a network or a streaming platform to even be eligible, Strut is eligible because it was on Revry, anyone can put their name forth for consideration for Best Actor or Best Actress. Now, there's an additional viewing platform that allows you to upload your video footage from the show, your best of reel, essentially. And if you put that up there, it's just that much easier for people to see your work without like doing an extra step of Googling or going onto Netflix or whatever.
Right.
So it's just helpful. And I think it legitimizes the campaign. And as of now, or like 2 days ago, there was only 12 people who had done so.
Yeah.
And 1/4 of those people were from Strut for Best Actress.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I feel like we have a pretty good shot of at least getting one nomination from the show.
I'm just gonna, as I do, follow your lead, Misha.
I love your campaign that you're running right now. It's ferocious. It is the because it costs money to do this, and it takes time to create all these promotional materials, and the materials look fantastic. I think they really turned out well. And what's it like campaigning for an Emmy nomination, Margaret?
Well, thank you for your help with all of that, Misha, and thank you for putting me up for this in the first place. I mean, I'm so grateful to you. By the way, when Misha emailed me that we were eligible, she said something about, oh, this is like the show that won't quit or something like that. I was like, oh, the show that won't quit. This is the creator that won't quit. Holy shit. Like, Jesus.
Thank you.
Like, I mean, I just admire the hustle so much. And yeah, Misha is our fearless leader. And so I sort of just like close my eyes and follow whatever advice or guidance. But what's it like? It's exciting. I mean, how cool, like you said, to even be eligible. How cool. And thanks for putting us up. It's very exciting. And I mean, you mentioned Christina and Monani. Yeah, oh my God. Like you said, talk about talent. Oh, shit. And I remember I auditioned with Christina and I was like, damn, who is this? Like, she's so good. She's so talented. And then obviously Monani, when we started working together, I saw her talent too. And their hearts and like, I mean, talk about like such a fun time on the set and just such good people. You just like put such a good group of people together. But yeah, so this is just like icing on the cake. Like it's new to me. It's super exciting. I'm like so flattered that to be eligible and that you would put me up for it. And also, to be really honest, it feels vulnerable, you know?
Ooh, I like that. How so?
Yeah, well, it feels vulnerable to put yourself out there and say, here's something I want. That feels vulnerable to admit something lofty that you want publicly. It feels vulnerable.
Yeah, there's a risk involved in that.
It's a risk.
Yeah, you're opening yourself up to a lot of things, judgment or the fact that it may not occur even after you asked for it. What a letdown that would be. Of course, it is vulnerable. I think you're right.
It would be really easy to say like, oh, it's, everything's so great about it. But yeah, it's totally vulnerable.
What's the character you played? And Misha, if you have a second to tell us, what was it about Margaret's take on the character that made you specifically say, oh, wow, let's work together?
I'll go first real quick. If you haven't seen Strut yet, you can go to Revry and you can watch it for free. So anyone listening, I really recommend you just pop in, turn it on, watch it. It's very funny. It's about these 4 friends in Brooklyn who started an escorting agency for various reasons. And Ava's character, what I liked about Margaret's take on it was, well, as I said, star power. I mean, that's just undeniable. And so that for me was what caught my eye first. But the way she played Ava as just really easy, natural. She wasn't, believe it or not, there were people who came in playing these women as sort of like prostitute-y, if that makes sense, in like a stereotypy way that didn't really feel, I mean, it was just completely wrong. So Margaret was very human about it and very like heroic in her grounded portrayal of Ava.
What I really loved about the project, like, okay, so when you say it's about these women who started an escort agency, that's true. And it's so fun. It was so fun to do, but it's a really fun, easy, light watch, but it also like is challenging and confrontational in like this really cool way that isn't like finger waggy or anything. It's just honest. And that was like so exciting to see that in a project. But when you're saying it's about an escort agency and that people came in and played it that way, that's really interesting because it's the backdrop of it. But when I think of the show, I just think of like how it was the 4 of us making it. It was like these 4 women who are just gonna like get shit done and like make it and like figure it out, and just had like this fierce loyalty to each other. And I think that's what's sexy about it.
I love that. So I guess I'm wondering, do you have any advice for actors out there who would love to have even a glimpse of some of the opportunities that you've made for yourself, campaigning for an Emmy for one show, being in 3 seasons of a hit HBO show, a different show? What kind of advice can you give to actors who wish they were you?
The first thing that comes to mind is find yourself your Misha. Number one, most
Thank you.
important.
Thank you.
Number one thing on the list, by far. But I mean, I think it's so personal, but like just to echo some things that we were sort of agreeing on, it's like, get in there, get in the game, to be in the game, like it's very Brene Brown, but like to get in the game and to just be vulnerable in that way, to say, I'm going to be an actor is fucking vulnerable in and of itself. Like to tell people that, because it comes with a lot of criticism and judgment. And, that's like the whole thing, but but that's it. That's what you have to do. So I think get in the game in any way that you can. And that would be a far second after finding your Misha. And for me, and this isn't for everybody, but for me, it was, just hustle and stay very busy. Like that is the hustle to me.
Love. Well, I've pulled up watch.revry.tv, everyone. And so, yes, you can find it very easily on Revry STRUT. Okay. Episode 1, success. I like that, Misha. Eddie's best friends scheme up a sex intervention to save her from depression. Okay, get ready for the weekend.
Oh, Brett, that's so awesome. Brett, by the way, you need to send me your films too, because I haven't seen some of them and I want to.
Yeah, oh yeah, I will. I will send them. I'll email them to you, Misha. Yes. Woo. It's so cool. It's so cool to see it all up here on Revry.tv. And that they really do take a stand for LGBTQ TV. How cool. What a lovely
website. It is the LGBTQ network.
Really is.
In the world.
Oh, fabulous.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, everyone.
Happy
Pride. Margaret, you really are delightful. It was lovely to get to meet you today, chat with you, and hear about the ins and outs of what your day-to-day is like and how it has all these different colors in it that are related to acting and then some that is absolutely not related to acting. But thank you for swinging in today. You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I had such a great time. I can't believe how fast that went. It was so nice to talk to you guys. Yeah. I had such a fun time.
Really appreciate your time, Margaret. And we're going to get this episode up pretty fast. So it will be up in time for Emmy voting. So if you are an Emmy voter, please consider for your consideration, Margaret Judson. And if for some reason you found her just utterly offensive, we do have 2 other actors, Christina Toth and Manani Gupta. And we are going out for outstanding short form drama or comedy series for STRUT. So thank you so much.
Yeah. It's a win no matter what.
So
cool. We've already won. Just getting this far, I feel like.
Yes.
It's a joy to even be considered to be nominated.
It's an honor to be considered to be considered.
Yeah, exactly.
A considerable honor, yes.
It's a considerable honor.
Margaret, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, you guys.
Margaret, you're the best.
Talk to you. Love you guys.
She looks like Barbie.
Oh, wow. I mean, first of all, stunning. Stunning, and then very light. There's a lightness, Misha. It's like, this is some of the shit you and I are talking about. Here's Margaret in action doing it. Comfortable, light, exploring things on this earth as a person. Mm-hmm. Wow. You can't fake it. You can't fake the way Margaret just engaged with our questions, with the world, leaning back on the just everything. The physicality of Margaret, her answers. You can't fake it. She's obviously someone who's curious and comfortable.
Yes. Last time I had dinner with her, I was just utterly smitten, to be perfectly frank. She's magnetic and captivating, and I'm lucky to have her as a friend, and we're lucky to have her in the cast.
Gosh, and I just think for what it's worth, I just think it's so refreshing when people say out loud, like, you know what, I did this and this and this, and I had no clue what the fuck I was doing. Do you know what I mean? It's the people who are, like, not showboating all the time.
No, she's got a really nice humility, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The humility shined through, which makes her a compelling character.
Isn't it cool to think that maybe someday a TV mogul will write a show with a character inspired by you?
Right, by you, and then you'll be cast as someone else, and then you'll have to see someone else. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to be a character on a TV show.
Well, pulls out a script from my pocket. Misha,
Oh.
your dreams are about to come true.
Oh, thank you, sir.
The audition will take place tomorrow, and come with 5 characters.
Yes.
I don't know what character I'm playing right now.
No, it's a transatlantic, darling.
Yeah, I guess.
Real Hollywood, back when
yes.
movies were made.
Yes, right, dear. Not just franchise sequels.
Thank you so much for listening to Film on Tape. I really hope that it was helpful to you in some way. And if so, please feel free to leave a 5-star review so that other people know this is a good podcast. If you want to check out my work as a writer-director, you can see it at www.mishacalvert.com or drop me a DM. The best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram at Misha Calvert. See you next time.